Fernando Alonso to Aston Martin, and Alpine maybe not even getting Oscar Piastri, the young stud. Welcome to the Lights Out Formula One podcast. I'm Nick, joined by Ryan as usual. And let's get right into the silly season, which has started on basically day one. We're looking. So let's just go over what's happened. So Fernando Alonso, multi-year contract with Aston Martin. Sounds like Alpine just didn't want to give him more than a year, which is, it paved the way perfectly for Oscar Piastri, who I think everyone was looking forward to. But man, what's happened there?
That's a great question. I think a lot of us today woke up and were excited to see the news that Alpine had announced Oscar Piastri as their driver for 2023, which would have been exciting to see. Rookie come into the Formula One here next season. However, when they announced it, they did not have any quotes from Oscar himself, or saying like how he's excited to join the team. And well, the reason for that was because they never asked him to, and they announced him without asking his permission. So yeah, kind of a wild day,
Yeah, and
which leaves Alpine kind of searching for answers.
it's a weird thing because the whole year it sounded like Piastri was enjoying his time at Alpine. He wasn't having any issues being a reserve driver. It sounded like he was going to get a seat, whether it was Williams or Alpine. And it's kind of shocking that this has happened. It almost makes me wonder: did someone pull the trigger early on the media? Like, were they not supposed to do it? Did he just not sign? But
it's a great question. I think we were talking about this a little earlier too. Is how I think he actually had a contractual obligation to Alpine. But I'm pretty sure is up either July 31st or August 1st was the last day that Alpine had to make him an offer, or they were basically going to have to stick with someone else. I think Alonso really caught them by surprise, and so they didn't really focus on Piastri. They kind of were having him in their back pocket there, and kind of just thought that he would sign. Well, it's F1 seat. We have this rookie here. There's no possible way he's going to tell us no, and that's exactly what he did.
which
And
is
then there's
surprising.
been, yeah, it is. It's very surprising that a driver should be so lucky to get an F1 seat, and he says no. But that just makes you wonder: did he have another contract already, kind of working over at McLaren or Williams or another team? It's a
Well, and
really confusing situation.
starting to show like he may have, because Mark Webber, who used to drive for Red Bull, I believe, is his manager actually. And the
Mm-hmm.
interesting part of this is it sounds like he already had a preliminary contract with McLaren. Like they were already kind of writing it out, figuring it out. But what I understand from Alpine's point of view is you have to get this kid a seat. If he doesn't get
Mm-hmm.
a seat, you lose the rights to him. So it
Yep.
was the rumors were, Nicholas Latifi, he's not having the
Mm-hmm.
greatest season. Williams not looking to re-sign him. We'll put Oscar Piastri out on loan, give him to Williams for a year, let him develop, take one more year with Fernando, and then we'll pull him up to the big leagues. And
Yep.
frankly, I think Piastri is going to be very, very talented. You look
Yeah.
at Formula
Formula.
2,
Yep.
he was
Formula
better
3
than
and
Joe.
2 winner back to back.
And he was better than Joe.
Yep.
And Zhou Guan Yu is looking, in my opinion, he looks pretty solid this year.
I think he does. He's kind of had some races, where you can definitely tell he's a rookie, but compared to previous rookies, and I guess just a rookie driver, having a rookie season himself, I guess is he's done pretty well. So
Well, when you compare him to Valtteri Bottas, who's a very consistent, solid driver, he's doing very well. But
yeah,
it's interesting because it sounds like Danny Ricciardo, who is contracted with McLaren, he's not opposed to going back to Alpine. He was
yeah.
strong in Renault. He was on the podium. He was just solid
He had
overall.
he had a little falling out with what was their old
Cyril?
principal there? Yep. I mean, but he's long gone now, so I don't think there'd be really any issue to going back. It might be a little awkward at first, but I think he would. It's a midfield team. I feel like it would be kind of a downgrade, but I mean, they're still competing. I mean, it's
And they are
a
ahead of
team that
McLaren.
yeah, they are by was it 1 point right now?
4 points.
I mean, it's very close, but it it'd be a downgrade sort of, but I think he would fit right in.
I think
Honestly,
it'd
I
be a
mean,
good lateral move for him.
yeah, how would he adapt to the new car there? I don't know. Would it take time to adapt? I don't know, but it'd be an okay move, I think, for
Well,
him.
he's back in the Renault ecosystem, though. You look at
Yeah,
Ricardo's growing up with Red Bull. He was with Red Bull when they had the Renault power unit.
yeah,
When they switched to Honda, he swithed to Renault. So
yeah,
that's really and truly the power unit he's used to, the feel of it. I mean, I don't think
yeah.
it's going to
That's a good point.
change. The overall feeling of it is going to change that much over just
Mm-hmm.
the change in the bodies and whatnot. So I think that'd be a good lateral shift for him, especially with him. He hasn't been the greatest. I think he's been doing a lot better this year,
I think,
and he is
yeah.
contracted through 23. But if he's not
Mm-hmm.
proving himself, I don't think any other team's going to want to take a risk on him.
Yeah, no, that's
So
a
if he
good
has a
point.
chance, I would take it if I'm Danny Ricciardo.
Yeah, I don't really think he has much, else going for him if he doesn't take that seat. Or I mean, maybe ourselves included, and everyone else are overthinking this Oscar situation. Maybe he does end up in Alpine, and Ricardo doesn't move at all. But it's just hard to believe with the circumstances that have happened today. So, yeah.
And it will be interesting to see because Oscar Piastri should, according to Alpine, will race for them. Alpine has said that they're
Yeah.
legally, he is still in, like, they don't necessarily own him, but his contract, he is under Alpine contract still.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that contract did expire, when it expires, sounds like they're in a very fierce legal battle, and it'll be a very interesting rest of the summer break to see what
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yeah, this is day
But
two.
the real question too is, Oscar Piastri, what do you do if you are legally obligated to stay with Alpine? Because
Mm-hmm.
Alpine, I don't, unless they say, okay, yeah, we'll trade you for Ricardo. We'll do this
Mm-hmm.
deal. We'll work the contracts and however much money, make sure it balances out. Can they do that? And will Oscar? But if they don't do that, and Oscar is forced to stay at Alpine, will he drive or will he just say, "No, I'm done. I'm not racing. I'm taking a year off until I'm out of contract for you guys, and then I'm going somewhere else." And if that
Yeah.
happens, is anyone going to want him 2 years
That's a
out?
great question. I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't race though. I feel like he would still race. He might not be the happiest man for a year, but a year or so, I guess. But I think he would end up going to Alpine. But again, it's all such a messy and clouded situation right now. Zach Brown is he's kind of tied his hands. He did this with was that Colton Herta? He signed to there, and he has
As a
now
test
Oscar
driver, yep.
Piastri, maybe, yeah. And then I think they're talking to was that Alex Paulo? Like he's got quite a bit of drivers. They're kind of locked up under McLaren, their team there. So it's very
And
interesting. He's kind
Pato
of
Award too is a young talent
yeah,
in
yeah. He
IndyCar.
has he has quite a bit of people there locked up under McLaren. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds over there over the next couple of years. So
Yeah, I think this is McLaren seeing. They signed because Alpine. This is the other interesting point. In Bahrain, when Danny Ricciardo had COVID, Alpine signed a contract with Piastri
hmm
to McLaren to be a
yeah,
reserve driver. So
hmm
it makes me wonder: is there something in there that McLaren's trying to exploit and say, "Hey, here's a really
yeah,
young talent. He could be face of a franchise with Lando Norris. You have two. I mean, that's a very
hmm
bright future. Even if you do lose one of them, you
yeah,
still have a potential world champion driver on
hmm
your team. So I wonder if they're just McLaren's happy to. Why not? What's the risk? What's
yeah,
worst? They say no.
hmm
You don't get Piastri. Oh, nothing
yeah,
changes. But all of a sudden, if you
yeah,
do, well, I'm sorry,
hmm
Daniel Ricciardo. You're just. I would replace him with how he's been
Yeah.
driving past
Yeah.
year or two.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
the other question is there something going on at Alpine?
Yeah.
Otmar,
That's.
the new team principal there, he seems like he's been good, but
Mm-hmm.
he also was ahead of Aston Martin. Sorry, when they went into the ground.
Yeah, that's true. Like we never know what's actually going on behind the scenes. There's nothing that's ever come out that I've ever seen that I don't think anyone else should ever, think that's like a toxic leadership there or anything, or that people can't get along there. I think Alpine's always been kind of a good team. I don't think they've ever had really too much drama going on over there, other than when Daniel Ricciardo, of course, was with Renault, but that's not really
Well, and I kind of just
an
wonder if
issue, but.
there's something in the team that the team's not moving in
No.
the right
Yeah,
direction going
just
forward.
sort of like yeah, I could see that, like some leadership issues, or just not don't have a clear vision for the future. Which yeah, I mean after the day, it kind of looks like that. But then again, you can't really throw Alpine under the bus too much because really and truly, their vision for the future was Fernando stay one more year, Piastri 2024. Fernando did not like that, which is also kind of crazy because that means Fernando is really dedicated to staying another 2 or 3 years, and he's going to be almost 45 years old when he leaves F1. So, but had he actually stayed and Alpine was able to fulfill like really their vision, get Esteban Ocon, he's there for a little bit, get him with Piastri in 2024, have a nice younger Ocon at that time is going to be kind of be getting up there, but a nice young driver lineup. I mean, I think it could have worked out. So, and this is all speculation too. It could still work out. So we'll see.
Well, and that will be interesting too, because Esteban Ocon has been having a very strong year this year. I think he's been better than
Mm-hmm.
very quietly. He's been better than Alonso
Yeah.
overall. Now Alonso's has bad luck, but let's shift
Mm-hmm.
over to Aston Martin because Alonso
Yeah.
switched over to Aston Martin. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are saying, "Oh, what are you doing? Another big mistake, bad choice." I
Yeah.
don't think. I think Fernando. I mean, looking. Let's say he stays 3 more years. I
Yeah.
think Aston Martin's going to be a strong midfield team. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at them even now. Their race pace is it's been very very strong the past couple of weeks. Their quality pace
Yeah.
has been horrendous, but their race
Mm-hmm.
pace has been strong, and they've got a ton of money being pumped into that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Lawrence Stroll's really making sure that people know that he's very serious about staying in F1. I think I saw somewhere today, the last couple of days, that I think Audi actually wanted to buy them, not like partner with them or anything, just buy them outright. And Lawrence Stroll was like, "Hey, listen, no, that's not going to happen. I'm the man here. I'm building all these new facilities in Silverstone, and I want a veteran driver alongside my son as we build this new team, this new car for next year already. So they started development on the Aston Martin 23, and he really wants to solidify himself as, hey, no, we're going for this. We're going to make a championship-winning car and a team and state-of-the-art facilities, no matter what the cost." So, yeah.
Which
I
we're
think
not going
they'll
to
be
get in.
pushing the midfield there in a couple of years. And
Oh, very much so.
Fernando Alonso brings sponsorships. He brings PR. He's one of the greatest drivers in F1. So it's what could go wrong, and he's not really losing anything. He's a two-time world champion. He's has a plethora of race wins. He's been kind of all over the grid now with different teams, but he knows what he's doing, and he's a great driver. So adding him is just going to be benefiting Aston Martin in the long run. So yeah,
Yeah, and we won't go over this too much, but Audi coming in, they seem to be buying up a lot. That's going to be interesting going
yeah,
forward. Uh, but yeah, let's go back here. So if let's say Alpine doesn't, they lose Piastri, they've already lost Fernando. Are we seeing maybe Danny Rick go there? If he doesn't go there, I mean, what do they do? Who do they call up?
that is a great question. Who do they call up? To Alpine. I don't know. I saw some stuff saying that Teo Pourchaire could go there, and I don't know if that would happen or not. I've also seen, it was Ericsson tweeted out today that he thought that Danny Ricciardo could go to Haas or Williams, and I just don't see him doing that either. I think it's really Alpine or out of the sport for Danny at this point. That's a great point, though. I don't know who do you think would end up at Alpine. I
Uh,
don't think they really have a lot of options
Boucher,
other than.
Theo Boucher's
Yeah.
been
Okay.
strong in Formula 2. He's in second place right now. He's been a strong driver overall, but that's not a bad idea. Felipe Drogovic, Brazilian
Mm-hmm.
driver. There's not a Brazilian driver on the grid right now, and I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of fans that would like to see him move up. He's been very
Mm-hmm.
strong in Formula 2 again.
Yeah.
Maybe they pull him up if they need to. But yeah, that one's I'm not that Alpine seat. If Piastri's gone and they don't get Ricardo, it's going to be.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what
It's
they're
gonna be
going to
very
do.
interesting.
It'll probably be
Yeah.
a
No.
Formula 2 pull up. Danny Ricardo to Haas. I don't see that happening.
I don't either. I do not see that happening. I think that's just way too big of a downgrade unless he just wants to race for fun. I mean, he's made a lot of money in his career, which is good for him. Red Bull and McLaren. But yeah, going to Haas from McLaren is just it's absurd. I think honestly, really, there's just no way I see that happening. You just got really. I mean, I don't think he doesn't love the sport, but that's a lot, man. That's a lot to
I
downgrade
don't
like
think
that. But
Haas is going to lose Mick Schumacher. There's been some people that say, "Oh, Mick Schumacher overrated, just a name, etc., etc." And maybe I'm a little overhype on Mick Schumacher, but I think he's improved a lot this year, and I think he's really coming in to his own in the sport. I think he's finally kind of figured out how to really race the car. He's gotten points. He's been pushing Kevin Magnussen, who's been a very solid driver. I would be surprised if Haas does not re-sign Mick to at least a 1-year deal.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think they will. It's only day 2 of this break, and they don't even have to sign or announce anything until the end of the year if they don't want to. I mean, just because it's summer break doesn't mean they have to announce it during summer break. But I think at the end of summer break we'll have way more clarity on it. I do think they will resign Mick Schumacher just because sponsors too is just like Haas needs the money. Like they're not like a world class team. But if you have someone like Mick Schumacher, he's a PR guy. He's literally a prodigy son, hopefully, and he's kind of coming to his own. Like, what else? There's no one else out there that could bring in the money that Haas really needs to even keep going. To be honest, Danny Ricciardo, yes, okay. I don't. If he called up Gene Haas tonight and was like, "Hey, I want to race for you guys. This McLaren Alpine stuff is kind of out of hand. Like, just get me out of here. Let me race for you." Gene Haas would probably a million times over say yes because it's Daniel Ricciardo and he has some wins and stuff, but I don't see that happening. So I do think Mick Schumacher does stay.
Daniel Ricciardo, he won't be anywhere but McLaren, maybe Alpine. But Mick Schumacher, the other thing is Schumacher is technically one of Ferrari's reserve drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that he wants to stay in that system, and I don't think Ferrari wants to lose him just yet. So
yeah, no, I think he's a
I just don't see Schumacher leaving that ecosystem. And Alfa Romeo, they have Zhou Guanyu. His spot is up.
Yeah.
He's going to be re-signed. I don't see any reason not to re-sign him.
I could see
solid.
He has been. I could see a Zhou and Mick switch, honestly. Maybe promote Mick a little bit, downgrade. Zhou, he's been good, though, so I don't know. It's very tough. That's the same ecosystem. It's the same academy, Alpha. But see, I think Mick, I think Ferrari would look at Mick and, obviously put him over Zhou. So I think, we'll see. I don't know. And maybe next year, Valtteri, at the end of next year, maybe 2024, Mick is Alpha, maybe even Ferrari, depending on what happens with Sainz and Leclerc. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think he'll be at Haas.
I think Schumacher has at least a 1 or 2 year deal with Haas. I think it'd be smart of him to leave it open around that 2024 time and see if he can sneak into Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because they'll have both seats open that year.
Yeah, they will.
I think he's better than Zhou. I think Zhou's got a few years in F1 at least. He's just looking. They have a Chinese driver in there. We're going back to China soonish, maybe. We'll see. It'd be good. He hasn't, like I said, he hasn't been bad. He's had some bad luck, but I don't see any reason to not re-sign Zhou. And it's the same with Mick. He's had a couple of crashes. Monaco wasn't good. That was not good. It was a driver error or whatever. But he's gotten his points. He's looking better. He was very close to Magnussen this last weekend in Hungary. Yeah. With Magnussen having the upgrades.
Yeah, their race pace really hasn't been off of each other. It's really just been qualifying. It's kind of, I think it's just Mick still learning the ropes of F1 and just learning the car still. But yeah, the race pace, it's really when they finish, Haas seems to be pretty close to each other this year. At the end of races when both cars finish. So yeah,
Well, and we've
I
seen Mick
think they're
show
both.
some very, very, very strong race pace with his
Yeah.
battle with Schumacher, with Hamilton and
Yep.
Magnussen in Austria. He
Mhm.
had a very strong battle with Verstappen in Silverstone. Even last year in Hungary, when Max had a broken car, it was a good battle.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. I do hope
Yeah.
that he gets re-signed. I I feel like
I don't
there's
see him
been
not being
some
an F1 next
tension
year.
at Haas with
Mhm.
Schumacher, but I think at the end of the day, he's earned his seat, and I think
Yeah.
if he continues, maybe they don't sign him for the summer break, but I think if he has a good, strong
Yeah.
next couple races, I don't see
Mhm.
any reason not to re-sign him.
I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere next year. Um, maybe the year after that, but that's the soonest I can see him leaving or going anywhere. So
Well, and we talked about some of the F2 drivers potentially pulling up into Alpine.
yeah.
Another team that has an open spot and has a large amount of Formula 2 drivers available to pull up is
Yep.
AlphaTauri.
Mhm.
Yuki Tsunoda is not under contract for next
Mhm.
season. It's just Gasly, who's staying for the one more year at least. After that, I wouldn't be surprised if he's either pulled up or sent away.
Yep.
But what does Red Bull and AlphaTauri do about that open seat? Do you sign Yuki Tsunoda, or do you look at
I
pulling someone up like Wasa,
I
Daruvla, or Lawson?
I could see Yuki Tsunoda staying on a 1 year deal, or I could see Alex Albon getting pulled up and Yuki going down to Williams.
Really?
I
You
could
think
see
so?
that. Yeah, I could see Alex Albon. He's really outperforming. I mean, granted, Nicholas Latifi is not a world class driver that we've seen the last 3 years, but Alex Albon is still. Yeah, I think this was supposed to be Latifi's year to really, he's the veteran in that team. He should be taking the car
Yes
by the
and
horns and really,
yes and no. I mean,
yeah,
Albon did have the time in Red Bull though, so he has been in a
yeah,
championship
he
team.
does, but he does, but it's just Albon shouldn't be able to come in and outperform Latifi as much as he is. It should be closer. Maybe they're both driving the same car. I don't know if Latifi's just not comfortable, if he's just not a good driver. But I could see, Albon getting pulled up to AlphaTauri and Yuki going down to Williams. But is that going to happen? I don't know.
I
That's a
don't see.
very, very big
I,
conspiracy. But Alex Albon has also outperformed Yuki this year too in a Williams. He's got points a couple times, so he's been performing really well this year, I think.
so
So
I,
I think,
I disagree with you on
yeah,
that one. Actually, I don't think
hmm,
Albon because AlphaTauri's it's their feeder club. They pull
yeah,
up their young drivers. They go through there. I mean, Gasly's getting a little old for AlphaTauri, but I
hmm,
think, in my opinion at least, I think we're going to see Liam Lawson or Awasa or Daruvula. Probably not. Maybe not Daruvula. He hasn't. He's been up and down this year in Formula Two. I think we see one of those two or three Formula Two drivers in AlphaTauri well before we ever see Albon back in AlphaTauri. Now, if
yeah.
Albon's showing
Well,
real pace, maybe into the big Red Bull team in a handful of years. But I frankly, I see Albon re-signing with Williams, doing a few years there, and either fizzling out or finding a different team to try and work his way up somewhere.
yeah. I mean that could happen too. I just think that he's been doing well this year. So I don't know. We'll see.
So then, the only other seat I don't think we've really talked too much about is the Nicholas Latifi seat. So Albon,
Hmm.
we were kind of saying you were thinking maybe AlphaTauri, maybe Williams. We really
Yeah,
aren't sure. Sonoda probably will be re-signed, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pull Lawson up to do some testing later on in the season, or Awasa. Awasa is a
yeah.
rookie. I think he'll stay in Formula 2 another year. But
Hmm.
I think Liam Lawson could maybe challenge Sonoda for that seat. But it sounds like Helmut Marko and a couple others have been saying that probably will just stay the same.
Yeah.
But the
No, I
Nicholas
think
Latifi
he
seat,
has great talent. I just don't think he's put it together this year. Really, I don't. He's been unlucky too, but I mean he's had some blunders too. Silverstone and What was
Even
the other
Hungary
race?
a little bit.
He's had some errors that you really shouldn't be making, in year two. I mean, not that you can't make errors, but Canada is where he just kind of drove off the track with his cold tires, just kind of pushing too hard. Watch, I think I heard somewhere, like, I think as a team principal, you'd rather see your driver pushing, to try to get the best result possible instead of just kind of laying back. So, it's 50-50, anything could happen. So, but that's just my opinion. I don't know what could happen. I mean, it'll be interesting either way. So.
So the
Yeah.
last seat is Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. Where
Mm-hmm.
what do you think? Do you think Latifi resigns,
I
or
think Latifi's out. I think
who
Latifi's
fills
out.
that seat though?
I think Logan Sargent. I think he could get that seat. I don't know. I don't know who else could. Nicholas Latifi, I just don't see there. There's no way he stays. I mean, he just hasn't performed very well. There's nothing that you could tell me or show me that indicates otherwise. His qualifying pace to Albon has been about 7/10 slower. Other than his one really great qualifying miracle run in Silverstone, it looks like. I mean, that's really his only pro of the year,
Well,
really, to be
you can't
honest.
forget about Hungary. He had the
Um,
fastest sector one
yeah,
until
he,
Q3.
he he did, but then he came back down to reality.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think he's good for. That's the thing with Latifi. I think he's good for a miracle FP1 every once in a while, and a miracle qualifying. But I don't really think he's that great of a driver. He hasn't showed us that he's a great driver. So why would you keep him? But that's just me. I think Logan Sargent. He's already been announced today too. Speaking of Williams, he's been announced today that he'll get the FP1 slot in Coda. So it'll be interesting. If he outperforms, I mean, if he has a good practice there, if he puts the car in like top 10, something like that, I don't see why you wouldn't get rid of Latifi and bring up Sargent.
Yeah, it'll be.
So
I'm gonna say I don't see Sargent in F1 unless he has a stunner in Austin.
yeah.
As much as I want to see him in there, and as much as I am hyped up on Logan Sargent, I really want that American in there. Think he's going to be one hell of a driver. I just don't see him coming to Formula One next season.
Hmm.
He's been strong in Formula Two. He's been absolutely insane these past, other than the past two races where he had some issues.
Yep.
The France where his car didn't stalled out, and
Yeah.
then Hungary he got kind of boxed in the sprint race at least. But I just feel like he could let him do one more year in Formula Two, let him win it. I think he's good enough to win it. Maybe he still wins it this year, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm 50-50 on having him go F1. I want him in F1. I want the American. I think he's good enough to be there. But
Yeah.
is he really at that point where he's ready to take that step up?
Well, that's a great question. That's a question that's going to have to be answered, second half of the year or maybe into next year. I don't know who they'll replace, but I just don't see Latifi. I'll bet my money that he's not there next year. I just don't see how you could keep him. I really
I don't
don't.
think
I
he's
just
there
feel like
either.
I just think he should have had a better grip. I mean, yes, he's not. He's 27 too. Like he's not the youngest guy ever anymore. I mean, he's getting up there. In 3 years there, he hasn't really ever shown anything to, you know, indicate otherwise. And I don't wanna have this turn into a Nicholas Latifi roast session, but I don't think he's the guy there, and I don't think he will be next year either.
No, I
So
don't see him there. And I honestly think Sargent might be one of the best picks for them. My only fear is they're
yeah,
going to bring him in and he's not going to be
be not gonna be ready. Yeah.
he's not going to be exactly ready, and he's going to be too
Mm-hmm.
far off the pace. And then all of a sudden, people are going to say, "Oh,
Get rid of him.
why
Yeah.
is he in Formula One? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
belong. Get him out.
Yeah.
Like, put Colton Herta in or some other American in his place."
Well,
Now, I
yeah. I
don't
guess
think he'll
the
be
other
that
team
far off the pace, but
Yep. Yeah. The other guy I could see going to Williams and replacing Latifi is Nick DeVries. And yes, he is also 27 years old, and he is, not the youngest driver ever either. But he has gotten some practice sessions with Mercedes. I think didn't he have a practice session with Williams
yep,
this year
he's had
already too?
both Williams in
He's
Spain and then
so
Mercedes
they've
in
they've tested him
France.
out a little bit. He's tested the waters. I don't. He's a Formula E champion. I could see him too. Now that I think about it, but other than that, I really don't know. It's either of those guys or unless I'm missing someone and they just pull off the biggest stunner in the world and get like maybe Sebastian Vettel comes back after retiring for a
No.
race or something, But no, yeah, I just don't see that happening. So I don't know who's going to replace Latifi, but I know 1,000% he's not going to be there. And if he is, then I will gladly be, proved wrong, I guess. So
Yeah, I think right now it's kind of looking like Nick DeVries or Sargent.
yeah.
But Nick DeVries, in my opinion, Williams is now financially independent from Mercedes. So if I'm Williams, I don't really want to sign a Mercedes driver and just get back in that feeder team. I think they're better off signing Sargent. He's younger. He's got.
Yep.
I mean, he's American, which we don't have a driver. And
Yep.
in Formula One, Americans are starting to fall in love with it. It is exploding in America.
It is exactly the amount of PR
3
and
home
merchandise.
races next year.
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect guy to add. That's why I think he really has a shot to get in there. But we'll see. I'm very convinced that.
I think we could potentially be seeing 2 to 3 rookies next year, though.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. It'd be very fun to see that. So, yeah. And he has a home race already. He has a home race.
Well,
in
3
Florida,
of them.
Miami. What better? Yeah, what better though in Florida? Like he's from Florida. He has a race in Miami his rookie year. What better way for Williams to get a driver like that? And not just a driver, a very talented driver at that. Be a very good
and that's
for
the
them,
other thing. Some people might not know. Logan Sargent was so close to beating Oscar Piastri in Formula 3 championship.
Yeah.
He lost to Piastri in, what was it,
the final race of the year, I think,
2020?
Right?
I think it was 2020 in Formula 3. And then the next year when Piastri went on to win Formula 2, Sargent won Formula 3. Now Sargent's up in Formula 2. Piastri's a reserve driver.
Yep.
I think it'd be fun seeing those two battle. The only thing that would be a little sad is if Williams isn't going to be on the pace, obviously it's going to be disappointing. Yeah. I would love to see Williams just stun everyone next year and come out with a team that is not so far off the pace. I feel like right now it's developing where Williams is really and truly the only team that is consistently at the back. You have Aston Martin, who's got their race pace.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see.
Martin, I agree. Yeah, I think Aston Martin's going to find themselves the next couple of years here. Williams they're in a constant rebuild. They're just always rebuilding the rebuild. And it's just like, when are they going to stop rebuilding and have a decent team? I don't know. I hope it's soon. But yeah, I think Logan Sargent or Nick DeVries or whoever they pick, I think it's going to be a younger guy. I say that as Nick DeVries is the same age as Latifi, but I feel like
they may be going
Latifi
back to Renault.
DeVries, I feel like the talent is just not. It's a big gap there, I think. So
it's not been announced, but don't forget about the Renault rumors with Williams. Yeah. Renault powertrain. Yeah,
and that's true too. Exactly.
Back with their old. Could we see the Williams come back to the front of the grid? Yeah. See, Williams Renault. Get the blue and yellow Camelback.
That's the thing too. Ericsson. What's his first name? Why am I blanking on his name? Marcus Ericsson said that Danny Rick could go to Williams. And I think he said Williams or Haas, one of the two. Either way, I don't see it happening. But if they are going with Renault engine powertrain, like, could Daniel Ricciardo go to Williams? I just don't see that either. That's just such a big. I think. That's just big. That's such a big. Is he really at that point in his career? I feel like that's kind of embarrassing at this point that people think that the best he could do is Williams. So I think if I was him, I would retire. If that's the only offer I got is to go to Williams, yes, it'd be kind of cool to, kind of try to help a team. But isn't that what he's been doing at McLaren, trying to rebuild teams? Renault, like he's kind of, ever since he left Red Bull, he's kind of been on his quest to like
find a new championship team
and be the guy to bring him up, and it hasn't worked out for him.
Well, honestly, I think there's a lot of people that are overreacting to Ricciardo. I don't think he's going anywhere. If he does go anywhere, it's because McLaren and Alpine have come to some sort of agreement so that he can make a lateral shift over there. Other than that, there's been a lot of people saying, oh, Ricciardo might not have a seat next year. They're going to pull up Award or Herta or anyone. But just pull anyone. No. Daniel Ricciardo, while he's not been particularly strong, he's been getting better. He's shown that He's not as strong as Norris. Don't get me wrong. He's not as good as Norris.
No, he's not. But Daniel Ricciardo's glory days are about 5 years behind him, I think. But
he has shown flashes where he's been able to outperform or keep up with Norris. So I think if he just keeps his head down, drives hard, maybe he shifts over to Alpine. Maybe he starts driving better and can stay in Formula One for years to come.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be great for him. I'd be happy for him to stay.
Maybe he needs a break too. I don't know. I mean, just because he could. I don't see him retiring, but say he doesn't have an F1 seat, maybe a 1-year break is good for him. I don't know. I know he lives in California or something like that now. I think he's very American based now. I think maybe just chilling in America for a year, like going on some trips or something to clear his head. I feel like he puts himself under a lot of pressure too, because he was a great talent.
He's gone.
Yeah, he just needs to. You just need a 1-year break or something. Pull off Fernando Alonso. He's nowhere near the talent that Fernando Alonso is. But, just kind of reset and maybe come back in a couple of years. Maybe a seat opens up and someone wants to have him there. But, that's all just talk. So
that is for next year for sure. We'll see where Daniel Ricciardo goes. But that is all we have for today. So it'll be a very interesting summer break. It's been fireworks at the very start, and I'm looking forward to seeing where everything ends up when we come to Spa at the end of August.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Be an interesting race.
So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we are looking forward to seeing you guys all soon in the next episode.
Sounds good.
Enjoy your summer break.